Hey guys, how's it going? It's Untitled here, and welcome to another episode of Subscriber Loadouts. In this series, I use loadouts suggested by you guys. You guys suggest the loadout in the comment section of previous episodes of the series. Then I select one, go and play around with it for a couple days. Then I come back here and tell you what I think of the loadout. This week's loadout comes from Game Freak, and he suggested the US Army Rangers loadout. We're going to be playing as the support class. We're going to have an M4 with a holographic sight, a laser sight, a flash hider, a folding grip. For our secondary, we're going to have an M9 Beretta with no attachments. For our first gadget, we're going to have the ammo bots, and for our second gadget, we're going to have the Claymore. So our primary weapon, the M4 carbine, has some great accuracy, okay hit fire, okay range for carbines, and it also has some great stability. You're going to be firing this weapon at 800 rounds per minute, and you could fire this weapon in burst mode or single fire mode. It also has a 30 round magazine, which is pretty standard for carbines, so there's nothing special there. Alright guys, now moving on to the attachments we're going to have on this weapon. Let's start with the optic. For the optic, we're going to have the holographic sight. And the holographic sight, it's a pretty good sight. It's pretty clean, really easy to see your target. Definitely is a step up from the iron sights that the M4 has. The iron sights are used pretty bad. I don't really like using the iron sights on the M4. It's just kind of difficult to see your target at a longer range. Also, the M4 looks great just with the holographic sight. The holographic sight goes great with the M4 and the M16. And it's the sight that I always use every time I want to use a sight on the M4. It's just perfect for it. And it's why the holographic sight is always the sight I have on my M4. It just kind of goes hand to hand. Every time you have an M4, you must have the holographic sight. It just looks great. Now moving on to the accessory we're going to have on this weapon is going to be the laser sight. The laser sight will improve your hip fire by reducing your hip fire spread by 25%. And it could also sometimes blind your enemies a bit. So if you're shining the laser sight straight in their face, they're gonna have a hard time shooting you sometimes. So the laser sight is a pretty good accessory. I like it a lot. Every time you get into a firefight at close range, you may not want to aim down sights and you may just want to hip fire. And you know, it never hurts to have a little bit more of a chance of surviving in a gunfight when you're at close range. It just kind of puts the gunfight a bit more in your favor. So yeah guys, the laser sight's a pretty good attachment that I always recommend you guys using. Probably the only negative side that the laser sight has is that it could sometimes give away your position to an enemy because they may see the laser, so they may spot you that way. Alright, now moving on to the barrel we're going to have on this weapon. We're going to have the flash hider, which will eliminate the flash generated by the firing of the weapon. And this could sometimes be useful, but with this weapon, the M4, I didn't really find it that useful, especially because we have the holographic sights. So I didn't really see the point of putting the flash hider when the flash isn't that big of a problem to begin with. So I found that with this loadout, we probably could have used a more useful barrel instead of just using the flash hider. Now moving on to the underbarrel we're going to have on this weapon, we will add the folding grip. The folding grip will improve our stability by reducing first shot recoil by 32%, which is really nice. This weapon has some pretty good stability already, but it doesn't hurt to make it better. Having a stable weapon will help you shoot enemies that are maybe at a longer range a lot easier. So I find the folding grip on this weapon extremely useful, and I really recommend you guys use it. Alright, now moving on to the sidearm we're going to have on this loadout, we're going to have the M9. The M9, it's a pretty good pistol. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst. So I call it, it's a pretty average pistol. It has some good damage, some good accuracy. Just like any pistol, it has some good hit fire. It has poor range, but you know it's a pistol, so you don't need that much of a range. And it has some respectable stability. It also has a magazine size of 15, which is pretty nice. It's always nice to have a nice big magazine size on your pistol, so you can take out multiple enemies. I found this pistol really useful, especially when my M4 ran out of ammo. It's an extremely reliable pistol, and most of the time it will get the job done. So I really like the M9. It's a pretty good pistol, and it also goes with the team that this loadout has. Alright, now moving to the first gadget we're going to have on this loadout, we have the ammo bots. You guys know what the ammo bots does. You just throw it down and resupply your teammates' ammo, or your ammo. And guys, if you're using the ammo bots, please give ammo to your teammates. Don't just keep the ammo bots all to yourself. It's extremely frustrating when you see a support not give you any ammo when you're telling him to give you ammo over and over again, and they just look at you and run away. So yeah guys, make sure to share your ammo. Now moving on to the second gadget we're going to have on this loadout, we're going to have the Claymore. The Claymore, it's a pretty good gadget, especially if you're trying to defend something. The Claymore is more useful inside buildings because you can put it like next to a door, next to the stairs, and if the enemy does not notice the Claymore, he will immediately die most of the time. unless of course they spot the Claymore tripwire cables, and then they'll just blow it up. So always be careful to not make the Claymore cables look too obvious, because then your enemy will just immediately notice the Claymore and blow it up, which could also sometimes give you a warning that someone's coming if your Claymore gets blown up. And for the last thing we're going to have in the loadout, for our grenade, we're going to have the good old M67 frag, which is extremely useful. It has a good balance between range and damage, and makes it still one of my favorite grenades. Anyways guys, overall I think this was a pretty good support loadout. You will definitely do good with this loadout if you use it. And just remember to drop some ammo, for God's sake. And also you may want to change the flash suppressor and get something a bit more useful. Anyways guys, now before I go, just like I said last week, this is the last episode of subscriber loadouts, at least for Battlefield 4. So I really like to thank you guys for showing support to this series, for commenting on loadouts you wanted to see, to liking the videos, and to most importantly watching the videos. I really like to thank you guys for that. And as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Also, the M16. Jesus, I just said M16. Why?